You know, so in Tibet, we had the Dalai Lama, you know, a person that Ghengis Khan chose to put on the throne, which is the reincarnation of Ghengis Khan. You know, the grandfather dies in the Khan family, reincarnates, and they take that person and kill me, Sonam Gyatso, who was the head of Tibetan Buddhism at the time. And in doing that, prior to that, he enthrones me as the Dalai Lama. You know, Sonam Gyatso, the Dalai Lama. Yeah. So now I'm the Dalai Lama, the first Dalai Lama. Yeah. But then after he kills me, he then declares that he reincarnated as the Dalai Lama, which makes it impossible for me to take that seat again. Yeah. And here comes this evil Ghengis Khan, taking the position of the holiest person of Tibet. Yeah. My life takes over the life, every life that I've ever had before that. He absolutely changes who they were in previous lives. He alters it. He says, oh no, Sonam Gyatso, this was his previous life. And this other person, oh, that was his previous life. Yeah. So now you have to make Sonam Gyatso the third Dalai Lama, and another one the second Dalai Lama, because that was the previous incarnation of Sonam Gyatso. And then the first one is another previous incarnation of Sonam Gyatso. Yeah, so he's continually, now he's making up who the previous incarnations of Sonam Gyatso was, and he himself is not Sonam Gyatso. Yeah. So everything in Tibetan Buddhism got all screwed up as far as all the tukus. When the tukus would reincarnate, especially Sonam Gyatso, you know, there was no place to go because they'd already given titles and names to other people who are not those people. Yeah, and the Dalai Lama is acting as though he is the reincarnation of Sonam Gyatso. So where does Sonam Gyatso go? He comes in the fifth incarnation of the Dalai Lama, yeah, as Dorje Chungden. And he's first recognized, and he's going to be the Dalai Lama, and they put him on a throne. Everybody's all happy. But then they find again this guy, and they kick Sonam Gyatso, or take the reincarnation of Sonam Gyatso was Dorje Chungden, yeah. And they take that person and put him to the side again and say, nope, that's not the Dalai Lama, it's this other guy, yeah. So again, the previous Dalai Lama, who is, you know, Ghengis Khan incarnated, yeah, takes that throne seat again, but he has now the real Dalai Lama living in his same building and going to school at the same time he is. And it's like the Christ and the Antichrist are head to head. And education is going on. And everybody loves Dorje Chungden. Yeah? They just believe that he's an incarnation of Buddha. You know? He just shares it so eloquently, and he's able to express every teaching perfectly, and he gets the highest honors when he graduates. And the Dalai Lama does not. So the Dalai Lama has to offer katas to him, and you know, and this just totally irates the Dalai Lama and all the disciples of the Dalai Lama. So they have to murder Dorje Chungden, yeah, who is the freaking Dalai Lama, people, yeah. He's Buddha reincarnated, yeah. But he chooses he's got to die, and he gets all of his people to do it. Now, think about this. In the history, if we look at Tibetan Buddhism, in the history of Dorje Chungden and the history of the Dalai Lama had nothing to do with it, according to history. Nothing to. He knew nothing at all. Nothing. Yeah? Yeah? As though, right? Yeah? And then, and the attempt was 5 times they tried to kill him. Threw him out of a building, broke his arm, yeah, stabbed him 3 times, all at the same time, you know. Thought they left him for dead that time. I come out of it, I'm still alive, you know. They tried throwing me out of a building, I break my arm, you know, I'm still alive, you know. So after 5 times, I finally sit down with him and tell him how to kill me. I said, you know, the only way you're going to kill me is by taking a scarf and stuffing it down my throat and choking me to death. Because there's no way I'm going to die like this. I will fight it off until you're going to have to do it that way. Because I don't want to go through this anymore. You poisoned me. They poisoned me, yeah? That was tough. That lasted like a week or two, Ruined everything. I couldn't think, could see clearly. So finally, I do die, But it had created a situation where the real reality was that the Dalai Lama was all about it, And it's very much like this, I want to be the president, And I'm willing to work with evil monks and evil people who will collaborate with the cover-up, and make it look as though I didn't do anything, And then once he's dead, finally he's dead, then they have to go through a process where the Dalai Lama, from that point on, he declares evil toward Dorje Chöndön, that Dorje Chöndön was an evil being, that there's nothing ever been good about him. He could not have been killed if he was such a saint, such a great being, So they put him on a fire, and they tried to light it, and the fire would just keep going out. And then out of that, they put oil, and they're going to do a butter lamp, and out of the butter lamp comes smoke, and out comes an entity, And this is an entity of Tara, and it's standing there like, what do you think you're doing? This is a great saint. This is a great Buddha, and they're all like, oh, come on, no. He's supposed to be a demon. The Dalai Lama is saying he's a demon. How is it that Tara is coming to say he's Buddha? How is this possible? So it goes on and on and on. They can't light the fire. This entity keeps coming back, and everybody witnesses it. So then the Dalai Lama declares, I've made a mistake, and I'm very sorry I killed you, and that, I repent. And that, you're a great being, you're not a demon, thank you very much, for all the great service that you might have done, all this kind of good stuff, But it still remained cover up to this life, this very life. Today, the Dalai Lama, up to just recently, has constantly said Dorje Chöndön cannot be utilized as a sacred being, as a protector, as an incarnation of Buddha of any kind, and that you have to, according to the Dalai Lama, only witness Dorje Chöndön as an incarnation of a demon. You have to absolutely, you can't take it kind of half, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You have to, according to the Dalai Lama, you have to say to yourself, he's a demon, therefore I cannot pray to him or use him as a protector, because I'll go to hell. I will go to hell if I have a relationship with this guy, And he goes on and on and on. He makes it illegal. He throws people out of towns. He has people lose their jobs. It goes on and on and on. All of Tibet, millions and millions and millions and millions of people of Tibet are in a state, They're sad. They want to die. They don't know what to do. This is their only protector, has been since Tsongkhapa, And he's a reincarnation of Tsongkhapa, so it's kind of really tough. For all these people to hear this from the Dalai Lama, But that's how much this conspiracy energetic field of the Dark Lodge goes all the way up to Buddha, to the highest level of consciousness it affects. So here it is in America, and there it is in England, and there it is in Russia, and there it is in China, and there it is everywhere. And yet it's being taken care of. Because slowly but surely, I'm kicking the shit out of these people. Because in Tibet, I wasn't supposed to be coming in like this. The Dalai Lama said, I don't want to talk to him. I'm not going to have anything to do with him, and you're not to have anything to do with him. But that didn't happen. All the monasteries opened up. All the monasteries grabbed me right straight from the airport and took me all the way to all the top monasteries. In China, completely accepted. I had Chinese guards. The first time I went to Dema, which is this place right here, I had a person in a car who is a Chinese officer, main Chinese officer. And he's just like, watching everything. And then by the time we get there, 3 or 4 show up in another few cars. But he watched us all the way to see how crazy I might be. What a deluded American, person. And I'm Buddha, and I behave like Buddha. And I have no weird behavioral problems, So he witnessed that, yeah. And by the time we get into this place, he's pretty calmed down, and he's starting to ask questions. Yeah, who is this guy? You say he's Buddha? Really? And this is where I'm enthroned as Buddha in China. First place, well, second place I get to be enthroned. First was Nepal, and second is here in Dhamma. And this is at the place where the karmapa reincarnates over and over. This is the place where Padmasambhava lived with Mandarava and Yoshisoko and many, 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 many disciples. Yeah, this location right here, yeah, right in the mountainside, the whole bit. So my previous incarnations, facilitate this. That's what allows me to go in there and meet these people. Right across the way, I was the incarnation of the Dalai Lama at one time, yeah, and I was picked up at 10 years old, right across the way, yeah. My brother was Ling Rinpoche, yeah, and it was Ling Monastery. This is the senior mother monastery of Tibet. Is sitting across the way. They came and got me, and again, they enthroned me there as previously being the incarnation of the Dalai Lama, yeah, brother to Ling Rinpoche. They gave me a room, they gave me the monastery. It was amazing. Yeah, and then I do the same thing here. Just as I'm doing all the tools in America, doing pujas and all the same is the same in the monasteries. And this is how I dispel the relationship of glamour. Not by me running around saying, you all got to jump up and be against the Dalai Lama. I let it go on. I let everything go on, yeah? But I keep teaching, yeah? And I confront it openly, yeah? Just like I put the stupa at the Dalai Lama's residence. That's pretty confronting. I put a Dharma center at his residence, yeah? Where people gathered from all over in order to receive teachings from His Holiness, the Buddha Maitreya. Yeah? And yet the Dalai Lama wouldn't talk to me. Yeah? But over time, that door is closed. And now the Dalai Lama is no longer against Dorje Chunten. Yeah? This is Maitreya Vihar. And you see the Dalai Lama picture up there? I am blessing that little dude. This is all about discernment and discrimination. Yeah, it's despite the fact no one other than me is the one who's doing the discernment and discrimination, and that the reason why it has an effect on everybody is because I'm Buddha. I'm everybody, and in my consciousness that's true. In everybody else's consciousness that's not true because you're suffering from separation. Yeah, but in my consciousness, we're not. So I'm that center point. We all gather together in me. Yeah? So it doesn't matter if we have a Trump right now. He's also gathering together in me. Yeah? The Dalai Lama tried to stay the Dalai Lama. I'm in charge. Don't talk to that man. No, no, no. Well, he gathered together in me. Yeah? And his karmapas did not follow him into the directions that they chose. They chose the direction I put them in. Yeah. So this door is being closed, where the Dark Lodge would be in charge of even the hierarchy. And if I can see the signs of the hierarchy being able to dispel the Dark Lodge amongst them, which they've done, and they're still doing, yeah, it's an ongoing process, yeah. But that outcome is that it will affect us because the hierarchy affects humanity. Yeah. And you'll never get your first 2 initiations until the hierarchy clears the bullshit that's going on in their relationship. Yeah. Because the 5th degree initiate affects the 3rd degree initiate. The 3rd degree initiate affects the 1st degree initiate. And the 3rd degree initiate hasn't got their shit together. We're going to have no 1st degree initiates. Does that make sense? And a 5th degree initiate, which are all these masters out there misled by a false prophet, yeah, then we have no third degree initiates. So bam, we got nothing. Yeah, and all you got is the one tuku who's not affected by all that. Yeah, yeah. And all of you are on the way to becoming tukus. You reincarnate. Yeah, and I'm gonna take all this shit out of your life. Yeah, and you're gonna become a tuku because nothing's gonna keep you from having self-realization.